Hello, Sudoku friends, and welcome to a New York Times Hard Sudoku. Today is December 15, 2022. Let's see what this one brings. Well, there's a 4 and a 9 here, and there's a 4 and a 9 here. So that would make these a 4 and a 9, wouldn't they? And since there's a 4 already here, this must be a 9 and this must be a 4. Let's see the 1 here, and this one forces a 1 in the corner sill like so. And I immediately spot a certain pattern here. We need a 2, 3, 5, and a 7 for these 4 cells here. There's a 2 and a 5 here, and there's a 2 and a 5 here, making these 2 cells a 3 and a 7. And making these 2 cells a 2 and a 5. And making this cell up here also a 2 and a 5. And since we have a 7 and a 3 pair in these 2 cells, this cell now cannot be a 7. And because of these 2 7s here, we can enter a 7 here. And now one of these 2 cells must be a 7. Yes, that's true. And that means that the 4 here and the 4 here force a 4 into these 2 cells, or into one of these 2 cells rather. And because we have a 7 and a 3 here, this cannot be a 3 either. So one of these will have to be a 3. And this being a 2, 5, we need to find a 3, 4, and a 9 for the remaining cells. Let's see. Now there isn't really anything I can do about that, apart from the 4 that needs to go in one of these 2 cells. Oh, but this cell cannot be a 3, can it? No, it can't, because we have this 3 here blocking these 3 cells, and we have the 3 here blocking these cells. So this cell or this cell will have to be a 3, forming an X-wing with a possible 3 in these 2 cells. So this 3 and a ghost 3 here blocks any 3s from these 2 cells. And as we just discussed, this cannot be a 3 either. So a 3 and a 4 now need to go in these 2 cells, making this a 2, 5, and this a 2, 5, 9, and this a 2 by 9. So that out of the way makes this cell a 6, I believe. Yes, we got this 6 and this 6 blocking these cells here. And we got this 6 blocking this cell. So this must be a 6. Yeah, that's nice. And we need a 6 and an 8 to go in 2 of these 3 cells because of these 2 digits, a 6 and an 8, must go in 2 of these 3 digits, and therefore also in 2 of these cells. The 4 here blocks this cell, and these 2 4s block these 2 cells. That means that this cell must be a 4. And now we need a 1, 7, and a 9 for these 3 cells, and I can't place them right this moment. What I can do, however, is placing a 3 in this cell. We need to find a 3 for this cell or this cell, because obviously these 3 cells can't be 3s because of the 3 here. And there's a 3 here that blocks this cell, so this must be a 3. And earlier we discussed why this cannot be a 3. Remember, we have a 7-3 pair here. So that rules out a 3 from this cell. Now this 3 prevents a 3 from going here. Therefore, this is now a 3. This is a 2, 5 now, and this is a 2 and a 5. Or 2 or a 5, I should say. And I believe I can place a 6. Because as we recall, these two have to be a 2 and a 5. And therefore they can't be a 6, right? And we have this 6 blocking these 3 cells and this 6 blocking these 2 cells. That makes this a 6. And we also need to find an 8 for one of these 2 cells because of the 8 here. And this still being a 2 or a 5 makes this an 8. And this is now a 2, 5, and a 7 for these 3 cells. And now one of these will have to be a 1, and therefore one of these will have to be a 1 because of the 1 here. Because if one of these is a 1, this cannot be a 1. On the surface, this puzzle is apparently a little harder than the usual New York Times hard puzzles, and that's a pleasant surprise. While I'm using this, let's look at the 3 here, the 3 here, and the 3 here. They block these 2 cells, these 2 cells, and these 2 cells, leaving only this cell for a 3. And now we remember the 3, 4 we had up here, right? Now, because of the 3 here, this cannot be a 3, it must be a 4, and this must be a 3. What else have we got? I'm interested in these 4 empty cells. We need to find a 1, 4, 7, and an 8. Well, there's a 4 and a 7 here. Oh, and a 1 here. That's nice. A 1, 4, 7 forces an 8 into this cell. That was nice. And now we need to find a 1, 4, and a 7. Let's see. The 1 will have to go in one of these 2 cells, and the 7 can't go here. Oh, so this is a 1, and these 2 have to be a 4 and a 7, don't they? The remaining cells must be a 1, 2, and a 5, and I can't place them right now. No, I can't. But I notice that one of these 2 cells will have to be a 9, and we remember that one of these 2 cells would have to be a 1. So we have a 1 and a 9 for these 3 cells. And I'm noticing the outline of a small X-wing on 7s because a 7 must go in one of these 2 cells and therefore in one of these 2 cells. So for this row 7, a 7 needs to go either here or here. Unfortunately, it's not a real X-wing, so I can't do much about that. I think I just woke up because I spotted the 8 here and this 8 here. They, of course, force an 8 into this cell. And now a 1 and a 9 will have to go in 2 of these 3 cells because of the 1 here now blocking these 2 cells, and one of these 2 must be a 1. Therefore, one of these 3 must be a 1. And because of the 9 here and the 9 here, one of these 2 cells must be a 9. The remaining 2 have to be a 2 and a 5. The 2 and a 5 that we know from earlier here. This 2 and a 5 now makes this a 1 and a 9. But that's all I can tell about that. No, it's not. As we have just stated, one of these must be a 1 because, as we just noticed, one of these will have to be a 1. So which of these cells can it be? It cannot go in this cell because of the 1 here. But this one blocks these 2 cells, and this one blocks these 2 cells, leaving a 1 for one of these 2 cells. So a ghost 1 here, and this 1 forces a 1 into this cell. This cell now can only be a 9. Let's double check. We need to find a 2, 5, and a 9 for these 3 empty cells. There's a 2 and a 5 in this column already, so this must be a 9. And this is now a 2 or a 5, and this is a 2 or a 5. This therefore also is a 2 or a 5. So 2 or a 5, 2 or a 5, 2 or a 5 here and here as well. That's a lot of 2 or 5s. Of course, we know now that these two digits have to be a 1 and a 7 because they're the only two digits missing from this column. And since this 9 is blocking this cell and this 9 is blocking this cell, that leaves only this cell for a 9 in this 3 by 3 block. And we know from earlier that a 9 had to go in one of these 3 cells because this cell is blocked by this 9, right? So now we got this 9 and this 9, forcing a 9 into this cell right here. And we also remember from earlier that one of the remaining cells will have to be a 1, again because this cell is blocked by this 1. And this 1 now is blocking this cell from being a 1, therefore the 1 must go here, and this 1 and this 1 here now puts a 1 here and a 7 here. This 8 blocks these two cells, and therefore an 8 for this row must go here or here. So this is what we call a ghost 8. The ghost 8 here and this 8 forces an 8 into this cell here. And one of these two cells now must be a 6 because we have a 6 up here and we have a 6 here, right? And I don't know which one it's going to be. The other one must be a 2 or a 5. But I think we are closing in on finishing this puzzle because we need a 2 and a 5 for these two cells. And there's a 5 already in this block. So this must be a 2 and this must be a 5, making this a 2, making this a 5 and this a 2, this a 5, this a 2. And this 2 and this 2 and this 2. What's a 2? This cell, the last cell here has got to be a 1, making this a 1 because of the 1 here and here, right? These two up here has got to be a 9 and a 5. We got a 5 in the column, so that makes this a 9 and this a 5. And this 9 and this 9 plus these two enters a 9 here. There are so many digits now that I don't even know where to begin finding the next one. But this 4 and this 4 and this 4 gives me a 4 here. And that again makes this a 4 and this a 7. Now this 7 and this 7 blocking these three cells forces a 7 to go here and therefore here. And we remember how this was a 3-7 pair. This is therefore now a 3. The 3 here and here makes this a 3. And these are still 2 and a 5. But now we have the 2 up here. That makes this a 5 and this a 2. These two cells now have to be a 6 and an 8. We have a 6 in the column already. So the 8 goes here and the 6 here. This last digit now has got to be a 7, making this a 7 over here. And this now must be a 5. A 5, I said. And these two now have to be an 8 and a 6. We got a 6 here watching this cell. So this is an 8 and this is a 6, making this a 6 and making this a 2. I don't think that was very easy at all, but it wasn't hard enough to require pencil marks once I got into the fight. I hope that you enjoyed it, however, and that you'll be back for more soon. Thank you for watching and bye for now.